Hello and good day. Welcome to my math class. This is Statistics and Probability, and I am Teacher Burns. We're using Module 3, Random Sampling and Sampling Distribution, and this is Lesson 2, which is about parameter and statistic. After this video, you should be able to distinguish between parameter and statistic, illustrate parameter and statistic, and identify whether the given situation is about a parameter or statistic. Do you remember how to get the sample size from a population? We use the Sloven's formula. We have lower key n equals upper key n over 1 plus upper key n times lower key e squared, where the lower key n is the size of the sample, the upper key n is the size of the population, and the lower key e is the margin of error. This is to be decided by the researcher. Supposing that your school has a population of 5,000 students and you want to know the average height of the students, it would be impractical to interview or to measure the height of each student in your school. How will you determine the sample size that will estimate the whole population? So using the Sloven's formula, we consider our margin of error as 0.05 in the above situation, where the population size is 5,000. So this is our solution. We simply substitute the upper key n with the value of 5,000 divided by 1 plus the value of the upper key n, which is 5,000, multiplied by the margin of error of 0.05 squared. This gives us an answer of 370.37, which is rounded up to 371. The result is rounded up since this is getting samples from a population. If the sample size obtained will be distributed by the table below, how many samples will be taken randomly from each grade level? Take note, the sample size obtained is 371. And we have our table here showing grade levels from 7 until 12, with number of students per grade level, with a total number of 5,000 as our population. So the solution will be, to get the sample size from each grade level, we divide the number of students per year level by the total number of students in the school, then multiply the quotient by the required sample size. So we have here the results. From grade 7, we have 1,100 divided by 5,000 times the required sample size of 371, resulting in 81.62, which is rounded up to 82. Then we have grade 8, which is 980 divided by 5,000 multiplied by the required sample size of 371, and the result is 72.72 rounded up to 73. We do the same process until the grade 12 level. Do you have any question on this? That is how we get the sample size randomly from each grade level. To know if we have done it correctly, we simply get the sum of all the sample size per grade level, and it is equal to 371. Remember, 371 is our required sample size for the population of 5,000. I hope you get it. Now, can you make a statement about the fruits based on this picture? From picture A, we can conclude that the orange fruit is sour. From picture B, we can conclude that the orange fruit is sweet. And lastly, from picture C, we can conclude that these oranges from these fruit trees are just perfect. we're doing in here, all the data that we gathered from the picture in A and from the picture in B and picture C, this is what we call as parameter, while the data that we gathered from the samples are known as statistics. So to know further about parameter and statistics, let us have this illustration. We have here a population, and we knew from our previous lesson that a sample is a subset of a population. So we take portion of the population and consider them as our sample to be observed. Now, the measured characteristics of a population is called parameter, while the measured characteristics of a sample is called statistic. This measured parameter or this measured characteristic is known as population mean. Sometimes it is in a form of standard deviation or population standard deviation, or even population variance. While all the data that we gathered from the sample is known as statistic. It could be the sample mean, or the sample standard deviation, or the sample variance. After knowing the difference between parameter and statistics, let us identify which describes a statistic or a parameter. Number 1, 40% out of 200 students support the anti-bullying policy in the school. Again, 40% out of the 200 students support the anti-bullying policy in the school. Is this numerical data a parameter or a statistic? This is a statistic. Next, number 2. The average grade of 5 grade 11 students is 93. Is this a statistic or a parameter? That is correct. This is a statistic. Number 3. The midterm average grade of grade 12 students is 89. Is this a statistic or a parameter? This is a parameter. Number 4. The average salary of the employees in a certain company is 15,370. Take note, this talks about employees in a certain company. Is this a statistic or parameter? This is parameter. Next, the average score of the TVL students in statistics and probability of a certain school is 82%. We're talking about certain school, and we talk about the TVL students in statistics and probability. So is this parameter or statistic? Correct. This is parameter. Next, number 6. 15% of the residents in a certain locality of the country are aware of the proper waste disposal. So we talk about certain locality of the entire country, and 15% of the residents there is aware of the proper waste disposal. Is that a statistic or a parameter? Very good. That is statistic. Next, 100% of the class like chocolate-flavored ice cream very much. What is presented here? Statistic or a parameter? That is correct. We have here a parameter. What I have learned in this lesson is that statistic describes a sample as an estimate for the whole population. It is the numerical data that summarized the characteristics of the sample. While parameter describes the entire population, it is the numerical data that summarized the characteristics of the entire population. Can you think of an idea that we could relate to the concept of barometer and statistic? Okay, look before you leap. What does it mean? It means we have to check out at all costs before we make a very important decision in life. We have to be cautious and we have to be careful. I hope you're enlightened. That's all for now. See you next topic. Thanks for your time. God bless.